In this podcast, two Gen X-ers are taking a trip down memory lane, revisiting and reflecting on the cinema of the 1980s. We'll look at the hits and the flops, the studio blockbusters and art house indies, the critically acclaimed, and the universally reviled. The series is hosted by me, Lisa Molinelli, a writer and librarian, and features Dustin Morrow, a filmmaker, author, and professor of film. So pull on your legwarmers, crank up your boombox, and hop in the DeLorean. It's time for the Long Rewind. Welcome to the Long Rewind. I'm your host, Lisa. With me, as always, is Dustin.
Hello, everyone.
And today we are talking about the Golden Raspberry Awards, or the Razzies, of the 1980s, which is when they began, I believe.
Yeah, so we're looking at the worst of the decade, in a sense.
Yeah, the worst of the decade.
As labeled by this group of jokers in Hollywood, which I'm sure, as we're going to find out soon enough, I probably vehemently disagree with on a lot of occasions.
So I'm wondering, what do you wear to the Razzies? Because we know what you wear to the Oscars, right? You get out, your most beautiful designer gowns and tuxes. What do you wear to the Razzies?
Yeah, I would wear the blue 70s tux with the ruffles.
Right.
I think just to show the proper amount of disrespect.
Yeah, or I would think one of those T-shirts that looks like a tuxedo. Yeah. That might also really work.
Here's a question. If you were nominated for a Razzie, or you won a Razzie, let's say, would you go to the ceremony to collect it? Because some stars have done that.
Good for them.
I think Sandra Bullock, maybe. There's probably a list online somewhere of the people who have won Razzie Awards and actually showed up to collect them. I mean,
I'd like to think that I would, but maybe in reality I wouldn't. I don't know. I'd like to think that I would do that. I'm not sure I have the gumption, but I can see that Sandra Bullock would have the gumption. She seems to have some chutzpah.
Well, especially if you also thought the movie you made was a piece of dreck.
Right.
Maybe it would be a way of letting
your
peers and the public, hey, I get it. I thought this was bad too.
Yeah, I admire that. Good for the people who
there's a history of people that stars crapping on their own movies. And
yeah, that's interesting.
My favorite of which was John Stamos made a movie called Never Too Young to Die in the 80s, and he actually went on this little press tour telling people that he would personally send them $2 bills if they rented the movie, or he would reimburse them for going to the movie.
Right. I wonder how much he had to make good on that. I wonder if you ever
that's a good question.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us a rundown?
Sure.
You have a little prepared intro just for people that may not be so familiar with the Golden Raspberry Awards as to what they are, and then we'll talk about how we're going to approach this.
Yeah, well, this was interesting to me, too, because while I'd certainly heard of the Razzies, many of us have, I didn't know the history behind it at all, so this is rather interesting. So the Golden Raspberry Awards, or Razzies, as we mentioned, were created in 1981 by John J.B. Wilson, a copywriter and publicist, as a humorous and satirical response to this perceived self-importance and seriousness of traditional awards ceremonies, particularly the Academy Awards, or the Oscars. Wilson, along with a group of friends and associates, decided to establish an alternate awards show to recognize the worst in film. The inaugural Razzie Awards ceremony took place on March 31st, 1981 in Wilson's living room, which I think is hilarious. And it was a low-key event with only a handful of attendees. I wonder who those attendees were. That would be interesting to know. Was it just his friends? Or
I don't know. I worked with him once.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's kind of a funny, jolly guy. It was at a company where I was cutting film promos and trailers and things like that. And he came in to write some of the promotional material for some project. I can't remember what it was exactly. But
did you know he was the Razzies guy at the time, or?
Yeah, I think I did. I didn't, I had never, he's put out books and stuff around. He's turned the Razzies into kind of a mini industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure I must have asked him about it, but I don't remember a lot about working with him. I just remember sort of meeting him, and I remember him decamping in this little office. Decamping, is that a word?
Yeah.
Decamping to this little office.
Yes, that's a word.
And writing humorous material.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, as you could probably tell, this event was meant to be a lighthearted and informal gathering among friends, poking fun at the industry's less successful endeavors, which they are not wont to do. So it's definitely sort of satirical and fun. Over the years, the Razzies gained attention and credibility, evolving into a more organized and widely recognized event. In addition to the traditional categories like Worst Picture, Worst Actor, and Worst Actress, the Razzies also featured special or creative categories. These can include awards like Worst Screen Couple, Worst Remake, Ripoff or Sequel, and Worst Screen Combo. The infamous Golden Raspberry trophy is a gold-painted plastic raspberry atop a mangled film reel. It's kind of funny. I've never actually seen one. Despite its initial informal beginnings, the Razzies began attracting media coverage and attention from the film industry. Some actors and filmmakers embraced the Razzies in good humor, while others chose to distance themselves from the quote-unquote honors. Like you said, that's kind of fun that some of them will actually show up. The Razzies became an annual tradition with ceremonies held in the days leading up to the Oscars. Over time, the event grew in size and popularity, moving from small gatherings in living rooms to more formal venues. The awards ceremony has continued to evolve, introducing new categories and special awards such as the Razzie Redeemer Award, and that's to acknowledge a past Razzie winner who has since achieved success or critical acclaim, and the Razzie Hall of Shame to recognize filmmakers, actors, and other industry professionals who have achieved a consistent level of poor quality work throughout their careers. Good for them. So this is still going on, right? I feel like is this still happening?
Yeah, there's still controversy. I think a year or two ago they gave a Razzie Award to a child actor, and the whole world lost their minds and attacked them. And
I do feel like this would be a tough time to be the Razzie Awards.
Yeah,
Satire
so I think they announced that they're not going to give awards to kids anymore. And yeah, it would be a tough time to be a Razzie voter, perhaps. I think you would be a target for a lot of self-righteous attacks.
Yeah. Well,
so we're going to look at the 80s. Mm-hmm. We're going to look at 4 categories: actor, actress, and song. Since we, in our discussion of the Academy Awards, we discussed songs.
Right.
And worst picture, the worst movie.
Right.
So we'll just look at some winners and at the winners, and then if we see anything of particular note in the list of nominees, we both have a list of the winners and nominees in front of us. Then we'll go into that. But we're just trying to give kind of a broad overview of what was considered by the public, and that was sort of always the Golden Raspberries was trying to. The thing about the Raspberries, I think, is that they weren't necessarily giving the award every year to the absolute worst, as in worst quality thing. Mm-hmm. They would often attach themselves to debacles, like big public messes. If your movie was a high profile movie and it turned out to be a turkey or a big bomb or something, they would kind of pile on.
Which didn't always mean it was a bad movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually those movies were not.
Often,
usually those movies tank
always.
For a reason, but not always. I'm just saying that they're probably, for a lot of these things that won, I guess if that's the word you can use, they won these awards. There was probably worse work than a lot of these winners, but not as high profile and therefore not as interesting to kind of grab headlines and attention, which is another thing the Raspberries like to do.
Okay. So 1980, would you like me to read the winners?
Yeah.
I'm definitely seeing some interesting things in the nominees, too, that we may want to discuss here. But I don't actually know or I haven't seen the performances in many of these winners, but we will talk about them. So 1980, the winner for Worst Actor was Neil Diamond in The Jazz Singer.
I think this is not an uncommon thing. I guess maybe we'll see as we progress. I actually haven't looked at this list, and I don't think you have either.
No, not really.
So we're discovering it with the people listening to us for the first time. But I think this is not an uncommon thing that this sort of stay in your lane. Oh. Somebody coming from music or some other kind of industry and not doing great. Well, you could see another nominee in this category is Bruce Jenner. For Can't Stop the Music.
Right, or Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce at that time.
Yes, at that time. Yeah. I don't know that movie either. I'm seeing a couple of nominees here, though, that I think you would probably disagree with.
Yeah, Michael Caine in Dressed to Kill.
Yeah, I see
that's ridiculous. I mean, they co-nominated him for The Island, which is this ridiculous Peter Benchley modern pirates movie that is actually terrible, and he is bad in it. So yeah, but Dressed to Kill, that's ridiculous. Dressed to Kill is a great movie, although maybe it wasn't regarded as such when it came out, like a lot of Brian De Palma movies.
It surprises me to see it there, knowing
Sam Jones in Flash Gordon, which I love, but I admit, like, he's not a good actor, and Flash Gordon is not great because of his performance, although,
Right.
So, yeah, actress is Brooke Shields for The Blue Lagoon.
That seems like another one where, like, maybe she was a little outside of her lane. I mean, she was an actress. She was 14, 15 when she made that. Yeah, she was very young.
She was underage because that was the big controversy around that movie.
I mean, I think she did Pretty Baby before this because she was younger when she did that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
no, this is by no means near her first movie. She was a child actor, so she'd been around for a while. But, yeah. I see Nancy Allen for Dressed to Kill, another ridiculous nomination.
Yeah, and, that's weird to me.
There's old Olivia Newton-John, speaking of rock stars, moving into another Xanadu. And Shelley Duvall in The Shining, which I just saw an article somewhere. Somebody was making a case for that as one of the great performances of the 1980s.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it as a horrible performance or anything.
No, it's not.
So I'm surprised to see it there.
Song is The Man with Bogart's Face from the movie of the same name, and I have no idea.
I don't know that at all.
What that is.
Yeah.
But I see a Xanadu nomination in there, which has to rankle you a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do love Xanadu, I have to admit. I disagree with the greater populace on Xanadu being awful. I enjoy it very much. I mean, I realize it's no high art or anything like that, but it's so fun. I love Xanadu.
Yeah. And Worst Picture was Can't Stop the Music.
Which I don't know.
Can't Stop the Music was produced by Alan Carr. It was the guy that did Grease.
Okay.
And it was a kind of fictional portrait of the Village People.
Oh.
And Steve Guttenberg is the lead in it. I think, if I remember, he's like trying to, I think he's their manager maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, it stars the Village People.
Is it supposed to be the actual village? I guess it stars the Village People.
Yeah, like a fictional version of the Village People.
Okay, so they're called something else.
I think they're called the Village People.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly. I saw this movie a long time ago.
Right.
It's notoriously among the worst movies of the 80s and deserving of its win in this category.
I was completely unaware of it.
I see Xanadu in there.
Well, yeah,
in the nominations. Friday the 13th was also nominated, which is not a good movie, but of course one of maybe the most influential movies of the early 80s.
Yeah. I see Cruising also, which I know
Cruising is a great movie.
Pretty highly regarded now.
It's a William Friedkin thriller set in the S&M clubs in the early 80s with Al Pacino. It's kind of a crazy movie.
Yeah. So
81.
81. So,
worst actor?
Someone I don't know. Clinton Spilsbury in The Legend of the Lone Ranger.
Yeah. So this is another movie I like, but it's really quite a bad movie. But when you're a little kid in the 80s, I saw somebody talking about this recently in an interview. Like, we would watch these really bad superhero TV movies like Captain America and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they were horrible. And I think we knew they were horrible, but like you were just so happy to be seeing a live action Spider-Man.
This is probably really hard for people to believe now.
Yeah, Captain America, like you just loved it. Like I watched those things, Captain America especially, I watched over and over again, and it's awful. There's like 5 minutes of action in the whole thing, and it's lame. Right. But man, did I love it, because it was like, oh my God, it's Captain America, and he's a real guy. He's not a cartoon.
Yeah.
And I think that was the same feeling I had about The Legend of the Lone Ranger. Mm-hmm. Which is a really cheeseball early 80s Western there.
Yeah. Again, I think it must be really hard for
Clinton
folks
Spilsbury
to
was a male model who won the part. He had never acted before. Apparently, he was so bad that they had to dub his voice.
Oh.
So they dubbed it with James Keach. The actor James Keach came in and dubbed him. And he was such a pain in the ass on the set that he kind of ruined his whole future. He was famously a a pain in the ass. He never worked again. So this is his only movie. He did a very notorious interview in Interview Magazine with Andy Warhol.
Oh, wow. Back in the Warhol
was totally
days,
hot for him, by the way.
Okay.
And this interview is like, it's out of control. You should read it. It's wild. It's just like it's like how not to enter the industry. So it's featured, coincidentally, like it's sort of the same story of Sam Jones, who we just talked about, who played Flash Gordon in 80, who also was apparently a giant pain in the ass during the making of that movie, but was not yet a star. And so in so doing kind of really hurt his career.
Yeah, in the long run.
Going forward. So
interesting.
Yeah, so Best Actress. Now this is nuts. I mean, I get it, but come on. I mean, yes, it's a tie. It's a Bo Derek for Tarzan the Ape Man, a terrible movie that Roger Ebert loved because Roger Ebert likes topless ladies.
Okay.
And he admitted as such when he reviewed it.
At least he was honest about
it's
it.
a very funny review. You should check it out. He's a big old thumbs up from Roger Ebert.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy one. Faye Dunaway as Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest.
Right. Wow.
You've seen this movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have.
So what was your take? Is that a bad performance or... Actually, I don't even know your feelings about this movie. You know mine. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I love... I appreciate its campiness, but I also think it's a little unfair, some of the criticism of it. Like, some of it's just great. Like, the production design is unbelievable. The costuming and the makeup is incredible. Yeah. And I actually think Faye Dunaway, even though it is just it's almost a kabuki performance. It's so big. I kind of think she's amazing in it.
I mean, I guess I didn't think it was bad because I thought it was one of those things where everything you were seeing, all the content fit the form in a way. Like it was meant, I don't know, it felt like it was meant to be outsized and like that, just like I would imagine Joan Crawford would have been, like in the sense of being like a really outsized, over the top kind of a person. I don't know. It seemed appropriate to me. So I guess I didn't think of it as a bad performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the movie. It's not like one of my favorite movies ever, but I thought it was good. You're right. The production design. I mean, it's the kind of movie that I think if someone had tried to make it today, it would be a low budget, like Lifetime kind of movie, and it wouldn't be very good. Like really wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're right. It's got a lot of quality behind it, I think.
So I have it on DVD, and on the DVD is an audio commentary by John Waters.
Oh, sure.
And I'm sure they got him because, it's considered, Mommy Dearest is considered a camp classic. It's beloved in like the drag queen community. And I'm sure that's why they got him. But in the commentary, like right at the very beginning, he comes on, he goes, I don't think this is camp. He's like, I just think this is actually a good movie.
Yeah.
And he's very...
if anyone would know, it would be John Waters.
Yeah, and he's very respectful to the film through the whole thing, and he just kind of points out all the great filmmaking that he sees in it.
Well, in that case, I think if John Waters thinks it's a good movie, then it's a good movie.
Yeah.
He would know.
It was on HBO all the time when I was a kid. That's how I had no business watching it as a kid because it's mostly about child abuse.
It's not really for kids.
But I don't know. Yeah. I was fascinated by it when, having seen it all those times on HBO.
I guess that's why I didn't see it till more recently, but I definitely heard a lot about it. And I guess that's because it was on HBO all the time.
So I don't know if I mentioned that it also won Worst Picture.
Oh, no, you didn't
this year. Yeah.
Wow.
Song was something called Baby Talk from the movie Paternity.
Yeah.
Which is a movie I remember. It's Burt Reynolds plays the first pregnant man.
Oh boy.
I think that's what it is.
They've tried to bring that concept back a couple times.
Yeah. Actually, maybe that's not true. I think I'm conflating it with a movie called Rabbit Test.
Oh, okay.
Rabbit Test was a movie directed by Joan Rivers. I think it might be the only thing she ever directed.
Wow.
With Billy Crystal as a guy who gets pregnant, the first pregnant man. Paternity might just be, maybe he's just I'm looking it up. Maybe he's just a guy that had a lot of kids.
I don't know this movie at all. I can't speak
that's
to
what
it
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just Burt Reynolds as a as a rogue.
I see.
Yeah.
As usual. I mean, what I'm seeing on this nominee list, though, is that poor David Shire got nominated for 2 different songs from 2 different movies this year.
Yeah, not a good year for him.
Yeah.
Here's the great one, though. So one of the nominees is The Man in the Mask by Merle Haggard from the aforementioned Legend of the Lone Ranger.
I see.
And Merle Haggard narrates that film in rhyme.
Oh, my.
So the whole movie, he's like... they called the Lone Ranger because they needed someone tough, a guy who took his shirt off and walked around in the buff. I don't know. I can't remember the actual word, but it was just like it would just be these like unbelievably lame rhymes,
rhyming couplets.
That did not advance the narrative in any way whatsoever.
What a
and
movie
that song is very much like that. It's like. He wore a mask and rode a horse named Silver. He had a pal named Tonto. It's just like
telling you what the movie
exactly what you're.
movie.
And a lot of it is just, and he shows up every once in a while singing it, and he's just telling you what you're looking at. Now you're seeing him ride up to a train, and it's like, what is this?
Sounds like they didn't really trust the audience on this one.
Yeah.
Well, that is very interesting. Gosh.
Okay, so 82. Yeah. Now look who won in 82.
Oh, I don't know this movie, but
see, this is an example of like, I think and maybe he's terrible in this. I haven't seen this movie.
The winner is Laurence Olivier, Sir Laurence Olivier for Inchon. I'm not sure how you say that.
Yeah. Considered by many to be the greatest actor who ever lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is an example of like them trolling, like before the term troll even existed. Really, it was they were.
I suppose the Razzies probably were the original Hollywood troll event.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of like, oh, Olivier made a bad movie this year. Like, let's pile on him. Yeah. There's no way that he's. I haven't seen that movie, but there's just no way that he's worse than like Christopher Atkins in the Pirate movie, which I see is also nominated. And
Willie Ames in Really Anything, who's also nominated for
2 movies.
That I've not seen, but Paradise and Zapped. I think
the real miracle of that is that Willie Ames had 2 leads.
That's
in 2 movies in 1982.
I have to honestly say, personally, I've never thought he was really good at any. I mean, he had quite a career for someone who didn't seem to be good in anything.
What does this tell you, though? That I haven't seen the Olivier movie, but I've seen both of those Willie Ames movies.
I think that just tells me you're really into genre film, although I don't know what Inchon is. Maybe it's a genre film.
I think it's a war movie.
Okay. What do you think about, also, we've got Arnold Schwarzenegger nominated for Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, here. I mean, he's is what he is.
I just know you're a Conan fan.
He barely speaks.
Yeah.
And I think to the degree that like he needed to look the part, he looks the part, and he has obvious screen chemistry.
Well, so
and I think they were thinking, like, if you were them, the voting board or whatever, the group of guys that voted on this thing, you were thinking, oh, here's that
big dumb meathead.
Here's that big meathead weightlifter from the Pumping Iron documentary. Now he thinks he's going to be an actor. We'll see about that. And then they take a shot at him, and then of course he goes on to become the biggest star of the decade.
The Terminator, the governor of California, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I just wondered what you thought, because I know you're a big Conan fan, and you're sort of making an interesting point here that, like, maybe he fit the film. So does that mean it was a bad performance? I don't know.
No, I think he was very well cast. The movie wouldn't have worked without him.
Did it really well, yeah.
Yeah.
So the winner for Best Actress here is Pia Zadora in Butterfly, another thing I don't know at all.
Yeah.
Do you know anything? I know who Pia Zadora is.
I've not seen it, but I am aware of it. I think it's like what is Butterfly? I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's like a sex comedy or something.
I'm willing to believe it was bad, but I don't know anything about it.
But, Mia Farrow was nominated and Mary Tyler Moore. So there were some legit actors in that roundup. Check out what won for best song. Or worst song, worst song.
I have to...
This is a song I love torturing Lisa with.
I have to agree with everything that they nominated the pirate movie for, because
How
I
dare
am not
you.
a fan of the pirate movie.
Pirate movie rules.
So
You are wrong.
Well, perhaps I'm wrong, but I'm entitled to my opinion. So yeah, the
How
winner
would you
for
describe the pirate movie for the many people listening to this that have no idea what it is?
well, first of all, let me explain to them what the winner of worst song was. The song from the pirate movie called "Pumpin' and Blowin'." That may tell you something about the
That's how
pirate
it
movie.
goes.
Oh my
Pumpin',
God, this movie!
blowin'.
How do you describe this movie? It's like, I mean, a girl is in present day, gets hit on the head, and goes.
Christy McNichol.
Great
Christy McNichol.
Yeah, great, totally great. Nothing against her. She goes back into like pirate days, I guess. And I mean, it's essentially supposed to be an updated Pirates of Penzance, I think.
Yep.
Which is wild that it's supposed to be that, because it's really not that.
But with crazy 80s music.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, it seems like a TV movie to me, even though I don't think it is. So it's got that, if you know what a TV movie is, if you're of that generation, it has that feel to it. It's very, very cheesy, but like not in a, I mean, I think it's cheesy in a good way to folks who experienced it as children and have nostalgia for it. I don't have any nostalgia for it. So this is one of those places where the nostalgia can't hold it up for me. It's
Well, speaking of nostalgia, you do have, though.
Yes.
Can I just point out one of the films nominated
Yeah.
for Worst Picture
I'm
was
seeing
Annie?
This. That's really upsetting.
Isn't that
because
crazy?
Of course, I love that movie. Do you agree with
Are
this
you-
on any level? I can't imagine that you
are
do.
you crazy? It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's
think it's a
one of
great
those
movie.
deals where I don't think it made a lot of money, and I think they saw an opportunity to take a shot at John Huston, who's one of the great
Yeah.
directors of all Hollywood
Who
history.
directed Annie?
So that would be my guess as to why it's in
Because
there.
I think this is a legitimately good movie, even though I'm no
I do
longer
too.
a child.
I think it's a phenomenal musical. I'll defend it to anybody. Megaforce is also on the list, and that is a truly terrible, but
Only in the
notorious cult classic. There's a feature-length documentary coming out about Megaforce. Believe it or not.
Oh, is that right? I mean, so yeah, when you pulled Annie up, say, against the pirate movie, also nominated, I think it's clear that Annie is a good movie, or a Megaforce for that matter.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the pirate movie because it's bad.
Know. Yes.
Like,
No, I know
don't
you
think
like
it's
it.
good.
Right. Yeah. It's just that I don't like it because it's bad. It's one of those situations. By the way, Inchon, however you say that, is the one that won for worst movie that year.
So 83, Christopher Atkins from the Pirate Movie wins for A Night in Heaven, which I think is a stripper movie. I think he plays a stripper, if I remember right.
Oh, like a male stripper.
Lou Ferrigno was nominated for Hercules, the great Lou Ferrigno. Barbara Streisand was nominated for Yentl.
Right.
As in Barbara Streisand in drag, it says.
I don't know why it says that. I mean, I know why.
Because she's
I know
nominated
why
for
it
Worst
says
Actor.
that, but okay. Oh, I see. I get it now.
Yeah,
okay.
they nominated her in the actor
Got it.
category.
Okay.
And Travolta is nominated for Two of a Kind and Staying Alive, two genuinely terrible but super fun 80s musicals.
Yeah. That said, I'm more likely, I love watching Staying Alive over and over. I won't ever watch Two of a Kind again, I don't think.
For the second year in a row, Pia Zadora takes it home for a movie called The Lonely Lady, which I don't know anything about.
What a title. I don't know why that's funny, but it's kind of funny.
The song is from that film. It's called The Way You Do It. So we can only imagine. I mean, Pia Zadora was like a sex pot. That was her image. And so I'm sure that
symbol,
The Lonely Lady is some kind of whatever, I don't know, sex comedy or something. But check out what is nominated for worst song, Yours World by Oliver Onions from The Hunter from the Future, which is a truly, if you like sword and sandals movies, like bad sword and sandals movies, you can't do better than The Hunter from the Future.
You should
a movie I saw on HBO a million times as a kid, totally loved. It is bananas. It is a crazy movie. And the song, which plays during the opening credits while you watch who is this kind of Conan knockoff meathead, you watch him kind of wander around this rocky terrain, and he kind of looks lost. He's like wearing a loincloth, and he's carrying a club, and he just kind of looks like he doesn't know where he's going.
Yeah.
And while he's doing that, you are hearing the most sensational, like pumped up, like heroic sounding song that is celebrating this guy.
I mean, it's like
he
faux
is the
Queen.
greatest warrior who ever lived. And he just looks like this dum-dum in a loincloth walking around in the desert. It's amazing.
The song is faux Queen. It's like
it's totally faux
Queen. If Queen were
Queen.
really bad, it's like Yours World. It's,
so
it's a wild
I mean,
song.
I don't blame you for those of you who are listening to this for not wanting to track down Yor the Hunter from the Future based on the recommendation I just gave it. However, you should go to YouTube and at least watch the opening credits because you will be in for a treat.
It's pretty wild. I mean, again, I don't know, what would be an analog film? Like if someone liked blank, they would like Yours World. What would be
any of the like Conan, Beastmaster,
right?
More the like,
definitely,
more like the next level down, right?
Yeah, like you have to be into the next level down.
If Conan is A-list and
Yeah.
Beastmaster is B-list, then Yor is like D-list.
Right. That's what I just was saying. Like they have to be people who are willing to dig a little deeper. I think to enjoy.
It's
Yours
actually
World.
it's an Italian-made movie.
Yeah.
Made by all these Italians and like one American actor who plays Yor. And it rips off Conan for like the first 45 minutes, and then it rips off Star Wars for the back half because...
Just imagine this, guys.
Because Yor gets somehow... It's not entirely coherent. Somehow Yor gets sucked up into a spaceship.
Yeah.
So he's fighting dinosaurs and stuff in the first half of the movie. And then the second half, he's running around spaceship shooting lasers. It's fantastic.
Remember that it's called Yor the Hunter from the Future. And there is actually a reason that it's called that. So
that's true, yeah.
It's why I think it was supposed to be, or it was like on TV in Italy and had a lot more.
It was a mini series on television
a lot more content
in Italy.
And it got cut down, so that may be part of the incoherence.
Why it's incoherent. Yeah, they crammed 4 hours of material into 80 minutes.
Although that said, having not seen it, maybe it was always incoherent. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then we've got
amazingly, it was not nominated for Worst Picture. Isn't that
is
crazy?
Weird. I mean, not weird because
I will
hooray
agree.
for Yor,
I've seen all but the thing that won here. The nominees were Lonely Lady, which won, and then Hercules, the Lou Ferrigno movie, which was another terrible sword and sandals movie.
A canon film, by the way. Yeah.
Jaws 3, which is a great movie.
I love Jaws 3.
Stroker Ace, which is a terrible title. It's about Burt Reynolds as a race car driver.
Oh, okay.
And Two of a Kind, which is a really awful musical with Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, meant to kind of recapture the box office of Grease, but
it does not.
Man,
well, maybe
it
did that. I don't know, but it's terrible.
Like Two of a Kind makes no sense.
Let's just say there's edible glasses that play a major part in that
that's
movie.
Right.
It's wild.
Travolta's character, he plays an inventor, and his big invention in the movie is edible sunglasses.
And once again, Olivia Newton-John is playing a muse of some kind, and she begs to come down to Earth to like...
Isn't she an angel?
She's like right. But the reason I say muse is because I think the whole part of the idea is like she has to make his invention like take off, or his edible sunglasses invention take off in order for, I don't know, for something.
Yeah.
Why
would anyone ever want to eat their sunglasses?
I don't know. This plagued me the whole time we were watching. And they're ugly. I mean, they're not even like, oh, they at least look cool. They are horrible looking, and you can
I'm
eat
mad
them.
when I buy like a cheap pair of sunglasses and they don't last for like a month. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I can't imagine wanting to eat. I mean, don't you want some longevity out of your sunglasses? Why would you want to eat them?
And in what situation?
Is the idea like that when they eventually go out of style, you'll just be like, well, I don't have to throw them away.
I mean,
like
except
I've had them for 3 or 4 years, but they'll be a nice snack whenever I'm done with them.
But except when you see these sunglasses, you realize there's never anywhere they're ever going to be in style. So you'd have to immediately eat them. They would make your face sticky. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't. You guys should go look at these sunglasses. They're crazy.
Also, I don't know if we talked about Hercules when we went through this year, but this is the movie where Lou Ferrigno throws a bear into space, and for that reason alone, it should have won I don't know anything about The Lonely Lady
I
with
don't
Pia
either.
Zadora, but I know that it can't be as bad as throwing a bear into space.
Well, I would imagine Hercules at least has some charm to it because it's a canon.
Oh, it's totally
film
fun. It's a super fun movie.
and Lou Ferrigno and all that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the Lonely Lady has any charm.
All right, so 84, which Lisa and I kind of selected as the peak of the 80s when we were going through the
And
movies.
I think many people agree with that. Yeah.
So let's look at what the bottom of the barrel was this year. So
yeah.
the winner of Worst Actor was Stallone
Yeah.
for Rhinestone.
Yeah.
A movie I saw in the theater with my family.
Was that your choice or their choice?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I was curious.
But yeah, even as a little kid, I was like, this is not good.
Explain to the people what Rhinestone is. They might want to, if they don't know.
It's a comedy where Dolly Parton plays a country singer, and she gets into an argument with some guy in the honky tonk where she performs, where he says, I bet she's like, I can turn anybody into a successful country singer because she's that good.
Yeah.
And so the bet is that this guy picks who she has to turn into a country singer, and he picks this real Goomba cab driver played by Stallone.
Yep.
And let's just say that at the end of the movie, it's the contention of the film that she is successful. But if you watch the end of the movie and you see Stallone performing country music, you realize that is not
You're like,
the case.
I'm being gaslighted right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of a gender flipped, countrified My Fair Lady, I guess.
Have you seen it?
I think I've seen part of it. I have to say, though, that actually doesn't sound like the worst premise in the world, especially with Dolly Parton at the helm. Like, that could have been a good movie.
And Dolly works her ass off trying to save the movie, I will say. But it's
maybe it needed
so
to be someone who
bad.
wasn't Sylvester Stallone, someone who you could actually believe as
part of the problem is, like, especially this era of Stallone, like, Stallone, when he's trying to be funny, is not it's not a good thing to see. Like, he's unintentionally funny, or he's funny sometimes when he's being charming.
Right.
But like when he's like, I'm doing wacky comedy, it's a rough.
He should not do that.
We should, just jumping ahead for a second, the worst song of the year, they gave to a song called Drinkenstein by Stallone. In Rhinestone. He sings a song called Drinkenstein.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actress was Bo Derek in Bolero. Poor Bo. Brooke Shields, of course, nominated again. Brooke Shields seems like she was nominated every year for the first half of the 80s.
It makes me sad only because I just think Brooke Shields is great, but it took her a long time to find
her groove.
At least as a comedic actress, I think.
Yeah, she was not in the right parts.
No, I think that's true.
Yeah. Shirley MacLaine and Faye Dunaway, though, some major names nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Worst film was the aforementioned Bolero, which is it's like a sex drama thing with Bo Derek, directed by her husband.
Also a canon film, looks like.
Yeah. She had this strange, that was a whole weird thing.
What was a weird thing?
Bo Derek's husband was John Derek, and he directed all of her movies from this era, and they were all movies of just her having sex with lots of different dudes. There were lots of sex scenes, essentially, parades of sex scenes.
Yeah.
It was just the idea that those scenes were directed by her husband, and that was all they made. Was kind of strange.
Yeah, okay.
But there you have it.
Yeah.
Somehow worse than Rhinestone. I've never seen Bolero, but I have a hard time believing it's worse than Rhinestone.
Well, at least Rhinestone has Dolly Parton in it.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just, my eyes are shooting back up to the music category, and I'm just seeing, wow, there's some real heavy hitters that got nominated here,
Prince.
by the way. Prince is nominated for a song.
Freddie Mercury.
In fact, for a song from Purple Rain, by the way, he's nominated.
Yeah.
Sex Shooter, apparently. Freddie Mercury, as you say. I'm just, wow.
Yeah.
There's some heavy
I
hitters
will say
in
Sex Shooter is by far the worst song in Purple Rain.
I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but, it's a song from Purple Rain. I'm surprised that didn't carry it through, but it did not.
Yeah. So Stallone returns in 85.
We're in 85 now. Oh boy. Wow.
When he wins Worst Actor for both Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and Rocky 4.
So how do you feel
Edging
about
out
this?
Divine.
Yeah. Oh.
In Lust in the Dust,
Yeah.
Al Pacino in Revolution, which is a terrible movie, John Travolta in Perfect, and Richard Gere in King David.
So I only know some of these. I'm mostly interested to hear what you think about Sly's win here for these movies.
I mean, much like we talked about Schwarzenegger and Conan, I don't know that anybody's ever going to look at these movies and mistake these as for being good performances.
Right.
But I think, it's his star quality and that he's doing what's required of him.
I mean,
he
he is Rocky and he is Rambo, so I don't know what else you can do. But also Rocky 4 is great. I don't know. Do you think he's bad in Rocky 4?
No.
Yeah. I don't know.
The movie is ridiculous. I mean, in a good way.
But it's,
both those movies, Rambo and Rocky 4, are both ridiculous movies. But
yeah, they are very
again,
of their time,
in a good way.
Yeah. You should explain to the people what Revolution is because I didn't really know about it till recently.
It's a long drama about the Revolutionary War. I just saw it recently in my ongoing quest to have seen every single thing that came out in the 80s. This was one of my blind spots, this movie. And so I finally checked it out and whew.
I mean, it's about the Revolutionary War, right? And
it's horrible.
Al Pacino's in it, which to me, when you told me that, I was like, wait, what? Pacino, it doesn't seem like you'd put Al Pacino in a Revolutionary War movie.
And he's bad. It is bad. It's just all bad. The less said about it, the better, probably.
Okay. I just was, and I don't know the divine part. I haven't seen Perfect, but I at least know what that is.
Perfect is fun.
Yeah.
It's really stupid.
It's very 80s.
It's really, really,
I think.
really dumb.
It's about a Rolling Stone reporter.
Yeah, he's a Rolling Stone reporter. He goes undercover at a health club in LA because he's doing a story on how health clubs in the 80s are the new singles bars.
Right. Yeah.
And he falls in love with Jamie Lee Curtis, who is like the lead instructor at the health club. She leads all the dancercise classes.
Right.
And it's like this big deal that he's an undercover journalist, and then she finds out, and then she feels really betrayed because she's been burned by many, many journalists in the past. And it's like, wait, what? Like you're a jazzercise instructor,
and you've been
what
burned
happened
by
here?
a bunch of journalists.
Yeah, it's a very like the conceits of the movie are ridiculous, but yeah, if you just want to bathe in the 80s though, like take an 80s bath, it is very 80s.
Yeah. The divine part, that's not a John Waters movie, right? Lust in the
No,
Dust?
it's kind of that kind of movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's intentionally campy.
Got it.
Kind of like a telenovela type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So worst actress, Linda Blair. This was in the period where poor Linda Blair was making these like really sleazy exploitation movies.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because she was a good actress. She was really good in some of the movies she made when she was younger, most famously The Exorcist. But yeah, she kind of fell into doing these like, she did a lot of slasher movies and a lot of like women in prison movies. And it was kind of an unfortunate turn in her career.
So she wins worst for 3 movies, which is the first one of those I've seen in this decade. I don't know.
It was
any
a rough
of these.
year.
Are these all horror or are they kind of a mix?
Yeah, they're all exploitation movies.
Okay. It's Night Patrol, Savage Island, and Savage Streets.
Yeah. I've seen 2 of those. I don't know what Savage Island is, but Night Patrol is a bad Police Academy ripoff.
Oh, I see.
And Savage Streets is a really sleazy, like rape revenge movie, I think.
Oh, okay.
Peace in Our Life by Frank Stallone wins worst song from Rambo, the Rambo soundtrack. Oh, Frank Stallone.
Yeah, let's talk about Frank
Poor
Stallone
Frank.
for a minute. Okay.
I'll defend Frank Stallone.
Sure.
He's written some good songs. I like some of the stuff in Staying Alive.
Yeah.
And he's got a good song on the Over the Top soundtrack. And, he wrote that Take Me Back song that is sung on in fact, he sings it in the original Rocky. He's the guy on the corner with the group of guys, and they're singing that "Take Me Back,
Yeah. So it's like an a cappella.
Yeah, exactly.
Doo-wop kind of thing. Yeah.
And he's still out there doing it, and he's like had a career,
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Frank Stallone, and how can you not love "Far From Over" from Staying Alive?
Oh yeah, it's a great song.
It's a real pump up kind of song. I don't remember this. I mean, I'm not even sure I've seen Rambo: First Blood Part 2. I guess I must have, but I don't remember this song at all. I am seeing some songs in the nominees that I do recognize.
Yeah. The Last Dragon.
Couple
soundtrack.
from The Last Dragon, Seventh Heaven by Vanity, and The Last Dragon from The Last Dragon, which are fun songs.
Yeah. I mean The Last Dragon is a Berry Gordy Motown movie, and it's full of great music. Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge was famously kind of born of that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a song from Crush Groove here, a Fat Boys song, All You Can Eat. Yeah. This last one shocks me. Oh, Jimmy by Rebecca De Mornay in The Slugger's Wife. What is that? Do you know anything about that?
I've seen that movie.
Yeah. She must sing it. I guess.
She plays a rock star in it. I don't remember the song.
Gosh.
I don't remember it being particularly bad, but I obviously don't remember it being good. I would remember it at all.
I didn't know she ever sang a song ever. Okay. Well, there you have it.
Worst picture was Rambo. Rocky IV was nominated, but it was Rambo that they decided was the worst film. So on to 86.
Okay.
Worst actor goes to Prince for Under the Cherry Moon.
Right.
Which I believe he directed.
I mean, it was like his baby, I think, to some degree at the time.
Yeah, I think that was him.
I have never seen Under the Cherry Moon. It has kind of a rough reputation as not being very good.
Yeah, that's the one he directed.
Yeah.
It was his follow-up to Purple Rain, and it made like $3, and is not very good.
Have you seen it? What do you know about it?
I have. I don't remember. I literally just don't remember anything about it. I saw it a long, long time ago, just out of curiosity, and I don't think it was very. I feel like I remember it being boring.
Is it a period? It's a period piece.
Yeah, it's a period
right?
piece. Yeah.
Like
it's kind of like a Johnny Dangerously kind of 1920s prohibition.
I thought it was like Harlem Renaissance.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think the songs were even particularly great.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I know a song from it. I couldn't identify it. I'm seeing some interesting stuff in here, though, as nominees for Worst Actor.
Estevez for Maximum Overdrive, Stephen King's movie.
Yeah. I wonder
Shanghai
if that's his
Surprise,
fault, though.
Sean Penn gets nominated. And, of course, Stallone again for Cobra.
Yeah.
Madonna takes Worst Actress for Shanghai Surprise.
Yeah.
This is another one of those where, was it really the worst? I'm sure it was bad. I don't remember anything about that movie, and I'm sure she's terrible in it.
She's got a rough history with movies, Madonna.
Yeah, but it also feels like one of those, let's pile on Madonna because she's famous.
Especially, that was the Madonna and Sean Penn era, right? They must have gotten married in that.
Yeah, that was they were married, and that was the big movie that their marriage produced, and it went about as well as their marriage did, I guess, in the long run.
Yeah. Madonna and movies, man.
Yeah,
a weird combination.
So Prince wins Worst Song for something called Love or Money, which I don't remember from the soundtrack of Under the Cherry Moon. However, Leah Thompson gets nominated for Howard the Duck, the title song.
God, amazing that she didn't. I mean, not that I think she was bad or anything, but that she didn't get nominated just because Howard the Duck is Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about that is that song was co-written by George Clinton from Parliament, and Thomas Dolby from Thomas Dolby,
right? Oh my God, that's weird.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
You'd certainly never guess.
Yeah. So worst film was a tie between Under the Cherry Moon, the Prince film we were just talking about, and Howard the Duck.
I mean, that's really not a surprise at all.
Yeah.
I was surprised not to see more Howard. Now that I realize 86 was Howard the Duck, not to see more Howard the Duck in here is a little bit surprising.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is. And it's... as a kid, when you don't know any better, I remember thinking Howard the Duck was funny.
Yeah, same.
But having tried I tried to watch it 2 years ago again, just thinking it would be kind of fun to watch it for a laugh because it would be so bad, and it's actually unwatchably bad.
Wow,
it's not fun bad. It's ugh. I don't think I can get through this, and I didn't.
Yeah. I did not try to watch it as an adult, but I do remember watching it as a kid and thinking, this is fine. I don't know. Even though it was very inappropriate for children, too, now that I think back on it.
All right, take us into 87.
87. Okay, so the winner for Worst Actor in 87 was Bill Cosby for Leonard Part 6, which I remember being out, and I think is kind of like a sci-fi comedy, but I've never seen it.
It's like a spoof of James Bond. He's a secret agent.
Okay, I don't know why I thought it had something to do with space.
It's horrible. It's like a movie. It's like 70 minutes long or something like that, which is funny because it's almost like they were like, we know this is bad. We're going to try to just get it over with as soon as we can.
Yeah.
It's comically short.
There's only two other things I want to mention from the nominees this year. Well, first of all, Sly and Over the Top, the wonderful Over the Top.
Yeah, which
Sylvester
is
Stallone.
total BS.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a great movie, but he's fine in it. In fact, he's like one of the best things about it. And he kind of like, he elevates it.
He does.
He like makes it a real movie. Like it could, like, yes, it is a stupid arm wrestling movie.
Yes. Yeah. About the arm wrestling circuit.
But it is just slightly better than that. Slightly better than you would think. Yeah. And it's largely because of the work he does. He
100%.
He's actually pretty good in it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
He probably, I think they paid him a lot of money to be in that movie, and it was probably worth it in the sense that he elevates the film.
Yeah. Well, famously at the time, it was the most anyone had ever been paid for a movie. And luckily he threw in a screenplay rewrite for free.
Oh, yeah.
Because from my understanding, the lore of that film is that he vastly improved it by kind of rewriting it.
He is one of the great screenwriters. So.
He is a good screenwriter, yeah.
What is up with this Bruce the Shark nomination?
Yeah, so they nominated the shark from Jaws the Revenge.
Is that the Michael Caine one?
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
okay, yeah. Jaws 4 or something.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Also of note, though, Ryan O'Neal in Tough Guys Don't Dance, which is the Norman Mailer utterly incoherent Cannon Films drama, is the famous... it's one of the most famous clips on YouTube, I think. If you go on YouTube and you punch in, I think it's something like worst line reading of all time or most ridiculous moment in movie history or something, you will get this unfortunate clip of Ryan O'Neal on a beach. I think his character, if I remember right, he's just found out that like I can't remember. His wife's cheating on him, maybe. I think that's what it is. He's something revelation he's had, and he goes, "Oh God, oh, what is it?
Oh God, oh man, I think that's what it is.
Oh God, oh man, oh God, oh man." And this goes on for like 4 minutes of him just screaming, "Oh God,
like you won't
man."
believe how long it goes on for. You
it's crazy.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do it. Famously. He knew it was bad when he was doing it, and
they just pay him a lot of money
begged
or
Norman
something?
Mailer to not have to do it, and Norman Mailer was like, "Do it, it'll work," and it didn't, and he should have listened to his own.
Oh, do you mean that scene particularly,
instincts.
or
Yes.
do you mean the whole movie?
Yeah, that moment.
Okay. Yeah, he
didn't want to do that. Oh God, oh man, things in Ryan O'Neal's defense.
Go watch it. I remember watching it for the first time and thinking it couldn't possibly keep going, and it does. So, it's wild. Why did they nominate the shark? Was that just to be funny?
I think it was just to make fun of Jaws the Revenge, which is a famously terrible movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Worst actress, Madonna.
Once again.
Yeah, for Who's That Girl? Her
Which
Griffin Dunn screwball comedy.
Which I think we did try to watch and also couldn't
Also
watch.
unwatchable. Yeah,
it really is.
Worst song, I Want Your Sex by George Michael, which was a big hit.
It was
that
a big
year.
hit. It was apparently it was in Beverly Hills Cop 2, which I do not remember, but
yeah. I mean, it is a bad song.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
You Can Be a Garbage Pail Kid from the Garbage Pail Kids movie was nominated.
Yeah, I didn't know
Million
that
Dollar
was a thing.
Mystery from the movie Million Dollar Mystery, which if you've never heard of, listen to our episode about 1987, because that's a fascinating film with a fascinating history.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And Worst Picture that year went to Leonard Part 6, the Bill Cosby spy comedy over Ishtar,
Which is a surprise.
famously one of the biggest turkeys in Hollywood history.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised
And
at
frankly,
the win
Jaws
here.
the Revenge has a much worse reputation.
Yeah, and that one scene in Tough Guys Don't Dance. I'm a little surprised at the win here. Not that I've never seen Leonard Part 6, so I can't speak to
Nobody
it.
remembers Leonard Part 6, but people still use Ishtar as code for big out of control flop.
It's pithier to say Ishtar than most other things. So
all right, 88.
Oh,
Stallone is back again.
Yeah.
He loses for Rambo 3, which feels unfair because he's already lost for the same role.
Yeah, or one, however you want to put it.
Yeah, exactly. One worst actor for the same role, so it doesn't feel quite fair.
Yeah.
He beats out Tom Cruise, who's making his first entry on this list
for Cocktail.
Yep, Cocktails and Dreams.
Fair, maybe. I'm sad to see Burt Reynolds from Rent-A-Cop on here, though. I like. Oh, he's also for Switching Channels.
Yeah. Well, look who worst actress is.
Oh no! What?
Yeah, that's right. They gave it to Lisa Molinelli for Rent-A-Cop and Arthur 2, two movies that don't have great reputations, but that Lisa and I happen to like a lot.
Yeah, I don't get this at all. She's confusing to me.
And she's freaking charming in both of them.
She's 100% charming.
So,
she practically makes both movies.
I think I don't know.
Like
a lot of things, I think it's just it's an opportunity for them to take a shot at Liza when her career was on the wane.
Yeah, that's too bad. I love Liza.
That
Whatever,
was
guys.
The Raspberries were very troll-ish.
Yeah.
It was let's hit people on their way down. They did a lot of that. They still do that,
I guess another one I'm not understanding so much here in the nominees is Cassandra Peterson for Elvira. She's Elvira.
Yeah, she's just playing Elvira.
She's Elvira. I don't get why you would even bother to talk about that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's dumb. Worst song goes to something called Jack Fresh by Full Force from Caddyshack 2.
Sure, I don't know.
So, I don't know. Worst picture that year, Cocktail.
Huh. What do you think about that?
I think that Cocktail is a terrible movie. I agree.
It's not a good movie.
However,
people love it.
I have seen it many, many times.
Yeah.
And I will continue to enjoy it because it is fun.
It is fun, yeah. Well, and then to see
it is way better than Caddyshack 2 and Mac and Me, which are also nominated.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing that and I'm like, why would you make Cocktail the worst?
It's because Tom Cruise was on top of the world at that point. And here's a chance to make fun of Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I'm sure we mentioned this in the year we talked about 88, but or the episode we talked about 88, but definitely go watch the Conan O'Brien, Paul Rudd, Mac and Me moments.
Yeah.
They're worth a watch always.
Okay, and wrapping it up, 1989.
Okay, so the winner, quote unquote, for worst actor in 1989 was William Shatner for Star Trek V: The Final Frontier.
I know. I knew you were going to be upset about this.
Oh, there's a few I'm upset about.
Ralph Macchio was nominated for Karate Kid 3. Stallone nominated again for both Lock Up and Tango and Cash.
Didn't win this year, though.
And one of Lisa's favorites, the Sways, Patrick Swayze for Roadhouse and Next of Kin.
I mean, to be fair, neither of these are my favorite Patrick Swayze movies, but I love Patrick Swayze and I love Ralph Macchio, so I'm a little upset.
The fifth nominee was Tony Danza for a movie called She's Out of Control.
Oh my God, I kind of remember.
Do you remember this movie? His daughter is played by Amy DeLenz. Do you remember Amy DeLenz? She was the daughter of Nikki DeLenz from the Monkees.
Yes.
She is starting to date, and he's losing his mind about it. Right. He's freaking out about it. That's the whole movie.
Right.
This movie, you shouldn't see it. It's a terrible piece of junk. But what you should see, go to YouTube and watch Siskel and Ebert's review of She's Out of Control.
Okay.
You'll never see those two guys look more sort of depressed about their jobs and the state of the world. Seriously, they seem like they're both
just
they seem like they're both going through something.
Oh, okay.
While they're reviewing it, because they're like, this is so bad. They're like, why are we doing this?
They're like, I can't believe we have to talk about this.
What is it all about? Like if this is what Hollywood thinks people want to see,
it's like existential crisis.
Why are we even watching movies anymore? Like that's how bad they thought that movie was. It's a little over the top for kind of a harmless, albeit really stupid and really bad Tony Danza comedy.
Wow.
But like it's a very funny review, and I'm glad it exists only because it gave us that incredible Siskel and Ebert moment.
Siskel and Ebert existential crisis, it sounds like. She's out of control.
So worst actress, Heather Locklear for The Return of the Swamp Thing.
Yeah, you must have seen that, I would imagine.
It's no Swamp Thing.
I haven't seen it. I can't speak to it.
Jane Fonda, though, nominated.
I don't know this movie, Old Gringo.
Yeah.
Brigitte Nielsen, who I think maybe popped up somewhere else on this list.
Yeah, she was up for Red Sonja. Yeah, back in
whatever
85.
year that was.
And the model, Paulina Porotskova, remember her?
Oh, sure.
She was married to Rick Ocasek from the Cars. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like her.
She was one of those Uber supermodels, like in that Cindy Crawford,
she was
Rachel
sort of
Hunter.
She was kind of just pre, or maybe about the same time, I guess, as Cindy Crawford. But I kind of remember her Alibi. Wasn't who was in that? That was what's his name? Why can't I think of his name?
Her Alibi. That was Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck. Thank you. I kept thinking mustache.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck. I kind of like her as a person, but I've never seen her Alibi. Maybe she's really bad in it. I don't know.
Yeah. Worst song is an awesome title.
Oh my.
I don't know this song, but what a title.
I don't either.
It's by Bruce Dickinson, who is the lead singer of Iron Maiden.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
It's called Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter.
Bring Your Daughter ... to the Slaughter.
Yeah, from Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Also nominated Pet Cemetery by the Ramones, which is an awesome song.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I don't know.
And worst picture, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier.
Can you remind me which one that is? I get these mixed up all the time.
That's the one that's directed by Shatner, where they meet God, essentially. It's like a spiritual journey movie.
Okay.
It's not horrible, but it's not very good.
Okay. I'd like to get your take on some of these other nominees, which
when we did our 89 episode, which I don't know if we've released it by this point because we're recording and releasing these all out of order, but we talked about this year was kind of like, seemed like the peak of sequelitis in the 80s. It was like that summer was Indiana Jones 3 and Lethal Weapon 2, I think, and Karate Kid 3, Star Trek 5. It was just like one sequel after another that year. So it's kind of interesting to only see two
Karate Kid
sequels
Part
on
3
this list.
on this list.
So the other nominees were, Karate Kid 3, Lock Up with Stallone, the prison movie, Roadhouse, starring the Sways, and Speed Zone, which was a Cannonball Run sequel that they retitled because they probably correctly thought nobody cared about Cannonball Run anymore. They were right to the degree that they also didn't want to see this thing when it was called Speed Zone.
So this was also sort of part of sequelitis. It just wasn't named.
That's true. It was technically a sequel, but not in name.
Not in name.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Roadhouse and Karate Kid Part 3 being on here? Because I know
I'm a defender of Karate Kid 3, although I recognize that it's not great. And like any red-blooded male, I like Roadhouse. I mean, I'm a man. What can I say?
I enjoyed it too.
I like.
It's okay.
I just like the idea of a famous bouncer.
Yeah, a well-known famous bouncer that people know who he is.
A notorious and famous bouncer that people have heard of. That's an idea I can get behind. So anyway, that's the Razzies for the 80s. Having seen this list now, Lisa, would you be more or less inclined to give a movie a shot if it had cleaned up at the Razzies?
Oh, interesting. I think it would depend on what the movie was. Like, if it was a movie that I also had a sense would be kind of fun but bad, I would give it a chance.
So it would be, but you would be more likely to give it a chance knowing it won the Razzie. That's my question.
Oh, I don't know. Sure.
I don't feel like you've thought this through.
I guess I just don't. I don't know that it would really weigh for me.
Well, after you've seen the survey of the decade and you've seen the kinds of things they like to.
Okay, I guess maybe I would, because sometimes I don't like to like you don't want to feed the trolls. So I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. I'm going to give it a try because you said it was bad and you're a troll, so I'm going to watch it. Yeah. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why I would give it more of a chance. Because I don't agree with some of what they're saying here, and sometimes it does seem like they're just piling on somebody. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's our survey of the supposed worst of the decade. And maybe at some point we'll do an actual episode about the worst of the decade. Although maybe not, because this show is really about celebrating this decade of cinema, and we're huge fans of it.
And I think we like to elevate the things that other people either don't know about.
That's right. So we're not going to do that episode.
We're not going to do that. No, because we're not trolls. But it's actually fun to learn about this tradition that I had only really heard of and didn't really know what was behind it. So.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll see you next time. You've been listening to The Long Rewind. The program is produced by Dustin Morrow and hosted by me, Lisa Molinelli. If you enjoy the show, please consider hitting the subscribe button, leave us a good review on your podcast app, and tell your friends about the program. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.